Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Tuesday morning edition of the Roundtable Show with your hosts, Rick and Wayne. Come to you every Tuesday morning here at WGNS. And thank y'all for listening. I've had a lot of comments the last couple of weeks, it seems like. So we've actually got some people, it sounds like, that listen. You always wonder when you're sitting up here doing this if people are really listening or not. But they're utilizing the podcast a lot and off Spotify and
I've
iTunes,
been pleased
so
with
it's
the
pretty cool.
number of people that have, told me that they listen. So I'm pleased to hear that.
Well, I just wanted to tell everyone thank you. I do. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Wayne, how are you, buddy?
Very, very good. Hope you had a good weekend. I think you told me you were doing some horticulture stuff.
I was landscaping. I'm paying the price for it.
I'm
6'3". I'm not made to bend over on the ground at 53 years old.
Well,
it's just tough.
Further away.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Wait till you get to our age.
Blood to my head. I'm falling over. It's just.
I had a good weekend. Had a little time on the water, and my grandson turned 5, and we went to had this little get together with friends at the Sky Zone, which is a trampoline park, and it just went nuts. It was pretty cool. I just sat on the bench and watched them play, which is a lot of fun for me. So.
Yeah, you got a little Sky Zone going on at home, right?
Well, yeah, I put one together. I pray that'd be the last trampoline I ever put together, because not as easy as it appears.
He come in sore and complaining. He was trying to put springs on a trampoline. It didn't go well.
Well, that's the golden years have hit him squarely.
Well, it has a net, and we have a locked gate fence, so I feel
protected,
and I'll watch them while they're out there. So, but Brother Rick, this is a special show in two ways. One way is that one of my best friends from high school, one of town of Smyrna's favorite sons, and also has served our country well, retired colonel, graduated from MTSU, and again, best friends from our youth, and retired Colonel Gary Richmond's with us this morning. Welcome, Colonel.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, this is kind of our 4th of July show, and Rick and I thought, what better way to celebrate the 4th than to have someone who not only has served, but someone that has volunteered at the VA for over 25 years, which I'm going, wow, that is so cool, and thank you for doing that.
Well, I have fun with my fellow veterans out there, and consider it part of my tithing, giving back to my veterans.
Well, you certainly have done that. God bless you for that. Would you tell our audience a little bit about growing up in Smyrna?
Well, believe it or not, I was born up there in that place called Goodall Clinic
as
years ago.
As I was.
And Dad was at the old Air Force Base, and we lived there in the Medline Homes, and the manager of the old snake pit was our neighbor. And I thought that was a cool place to be because they gave me Cokes and peanuts. I didn't know it was a beer joint. But, I think half Smyrna lived there around Church of Christ when I was growing up. And my brothers were going to the old rock school. And then, after a few years, Dad being in the Air Force, we started moving around. Came back in '64, and really the town hadn't changed much at that point. It really didn't start changing until I think Nissan came in. And that's when it started exploding at that point. So.
Well, we all thought it was going to dry up and blow away after the base phased out, too. So,
yeah, everything was getting small. I think we had, population of 9,000 or something at that point, maybe.
I didn't think it was that large, but you could be right.
You know, it was a small place. Everybody knew each other.
Yep.
And, you know, we went to school at Thurman Francis when it first opened, and then stuck around. Mr. Mack kept us straight there at high school with Coach Rakes.
Yeah. Sheer fear.
That's right.
Mr. Rakes came to Rotary last Thursday, I guess it was, and boy, he sure is still looking good.
Yep.
I'm impressed.
Always good to see him. Of course, you went to MTSU. You were in the ROTC program and transitioned to the Army.
Yep. Very happy to say they paid for my education.
Talk about your experience at Middle with ROTC.
Well, at that time, you got to remember Vietnam was closing down, so uniforms weren't really pride and joy of a lot of folks. But the dean of students, Dr. McLean, really promoted us quite a bit, and college even allowed us to have activity areas to do things, which are now part of the fraternity role and all that. And it was interesting. We got to see a lot of people that came here. Colonel Runge, I think he retired in the area, and his kids have made a mark in the area. And it was good to see some folks across the state coming in, and we were bonding together and became, you know, a lot of us became active duty. A couple of them did good. They made general officers. So.
Well, I'd say you did pretty well, my friend.
Yeah, it was exciting. You know, the Army always gave you a variety. If you didn't like it, wait a year or two, either your boss changed or your location, one or the other. You know.
Talk about your stations where you were.
All right. I was fortunate enough as a brand new lieutenant. I got to go to Germany, 3rd Armored Division, and I learned a whole lot about 3rd Armored Division. And Elvis Presley, they opened up his day room because he had been down one of the brigades, and the first sergeant down there was Elvis's platoon sergeant when he was in, so they gave him his own day room in Freiburg, Germany. And from Germany, then I was lucky enough to come back to the States and went to that great land of Mojave Desert, south of Death Valley, and it opened up the National Training Center in California. And then the Army thought it would be nice if I saw another part of the world, so went over to Turkey and became support for the Land Southeast Forces of NATO and the 6th Allied Tactical Air Force there in Turkey. And it was a unique because at that time Turkey was under martial law, so the military ran the country and half the police force was military, so you mind your P's and Q's when you're over there. And then after Turkey, came back and they sent me to Syracuse. And then from there, I went down to the infantry school, was a resource manager down there a few years. And it was interesting dealing with the infantry, being a bean counter, as they call finance guys. And from there, I was lucky enough to go to the support of the 2nd Infantry Division in Korea up along the DMZ, and came back and went to the finance school and ran the sort of the combat developments and training doctrine for the finance corps and force structure. So I got to see a lot of people in the Pentagon, and I was also had to validate the role of the finance corps so they didn't rip it out of the Army every so often. So a lot of good experiences in the Army.
Any personalities that remained on your mind?
Oh yes, you'll never forget the Army, or you will forget the Army, not the people. I was lucky enough to work for a gentleman by the nickname was Darth Vader. And just in case you want to know about history, Darth Vader, Colonel Linwood Birney from L.A., Lower Alabama, he was a gung-ho Army type, infantry, and he didn't like bean counters around him, but I protected his rear side enough he got to like me. But he was one of the guys that planned and executed Just Cause when the Army took over Panama. So he was a unique individual. Worked with Barry McCaffrey, a military analyst on NBC. And at that time, when you worked there with McCaffrey, it was the motto was at McDonald's you got to eat the Big Mac, and at the infantry school, Big Mac ate you. You know, so he keeps you straight a lot of times too.
That's a familiar name.
Yes, he's been around.
He's gotten a lot of airtime over the years, I suspect.
Yeah, and then I guess a temporary duty up at the United Nations, and I got to work with Mr. Kofi Annan, who eventually became Secretary General of the United Nations, and he was dealing with peacekeeping missions when I worked with him, and we did some planning and resource packages for different peacekeeping missions. So, and we were talking earlier about 9/11 and the Pentagon, and Kip Taylor was one of my good friends that he sort of bought it there at the Pentagon. And a lot of good people in the Army and military, really are.
Really tough time.
Yeah.
Really tough time.
But-
I'm fascinated that after you retired from the Army, that you have been so involved with the VA here. And I told someone the other day that I thought you had had volunteered for over 20 years. So, but it actually, after talking to you this morning, it's over 25 years.
Yep.
Gary, that's amazing.
Well, it's fun, you know, and the guys and gals now, I mean, veterans come in all shapes and forms now. I get a chance to relate to them and hopefully calm them down if they think the VA is not working well for them. So it's a good deal. I get to meet them at the door and see if they have any issues, and we try to solve them and make it a better experience for them at the VA.
Rick's father-in-law is a retired colonel as well, and he was in the Pentagon, and we had him, was it last year, Rick, about this time, and you know, the stories that he was telling, fascinating as well.
Well, if you can ever get Jim Whitmore back here, one of our classmates, he was sitting there with the Secretary of Defense when all that
Rumsfeld?
took. Yeah.
I talked to General Whitmore about that, and he said that he and Rumsfeld and everybody else in that area ran to the area, and I'm not surprised that Jim and the other service members, but that Secretary Rumsfeld, you know, ran too to help with triage and stuff. I just thought, talk about the measure of a man.
Well, that's important, what you do when people aren't watching, you know, and I think that's very important.
Yes, sir.
You're exactly right on that.
You know.
You kind of see a character of somebody when they're held against the wall a little bit of what they're going to do.
That's right. You know,
You try to teach our young that, but I think it's something inherited inside of you genetically that you are either a leader or a follower. And
well, hopefully,
those guys fall in those positions for a reason.
yeah, and hopefully young people have some role models out there they
Exactly.
can look up to, you know.
So how did you start 25 plus years ago getting involved with the VA?
Well, you know, when I came home, the city used me for some boards and all, if you remember correctly.
I was telling Rick about that as well.
You and I were on beer board and all. And Mullins needed me for the BZA and everything. And then I felt like I needed something more to do, even though I was taking sort of help of my parents who were in bad health. And so I went out there and talked to Betty. I can't remember Betty's last name, but she was an old lady from the Pentagon. We had mutual friends together in the volunteer office. So she talked me into volunteering. She says, I'm going to put you out front because I think you like to talk. And I said, well, yeah, I can do that. So she put me out there, and I just kept going. and enjoying every minute of it. I used to show up early in the morning and help the duty officer so that they could tie up loose ends and get out of the door when their time came, and make sure we got patients that came in early in the morning that sort of took time away from the AOD, and it's just been fantastic out there.
Your dad lived to the ripe old age of
101.
pretty cool.
Well,
Blessed to have kept him that long.
Well, I was good and bad in a way. The chaplain out there, Dave, and I used to talk, and I said, well, here's a couple of reasons Dad lived so long. One was God was giving Mom a break. And I really think God and devil were fighting out who's going to lose and have to take him in.
Who had to take him?
Who had to take him at the end. You know?
I'll tell you what, he was, and this is a loving comment in that he was such a character.
Oh, absolutely.
And your mom too. I mean, when I'd come over to the house during in our high school years, and some of the things she would say, you know, just a sweetheart.
Well, she had 3 boys. And I always said actually she had 4, and the 4th one never left home. But, you know, and all our friends, they were always welcome. Mom always made sure.
Yes.
If it was meal time, making sure everybody got fed or whatever. So she was a classy lady, as I said.
No doubt.
Is there any secrets you've got on Wayne as y'all growing up that you might want to share here? This is kind of a podcast format,
Well,
so it'll be saved forever.
What happened at Smyrna High School stays at Smyrna High School.
Well, seeing how well as children is done, I always wanted a DNA test, you know, because I was amazed. All right.
Yeah, maybe them too.
Well, the best one, Wayne was my best man at my late wife's and my wedding, and when he came, I told him to drive me to the church, but make sure he drove the old station wagon. And one of our friends was there, Nat Milligan, and Nat was going to the academy. And I told him it would be great if he showed up in his academy uniform.
Air Force Academy.
Air Force Academy. So we drove out there, and I had plans on getting out of the church without taking my car. And so everybody thought I was going to escape the church in Wayne's car. And they did him up right, just married all over the place, toilet paper and everything. But Nat looked at him and says, I'm not riding back home with you. 2 guys in a car at that time would not look good.
And I wanted to hurt somebody.
Oh.
You're listening to Gary Richmond, retired colonel with the Army colonel and VA volunteer. We're going to take our first break and be right back with you in just a minute.
Hi, this is Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates. You might know me as the voice of the Blue Raiders, but I want to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, it's time to choose Chip. Do you have a growing family and need to upsize? Are you an empty nester now and need to downsize? Are you thinking of selling your current home but just worried you can't find something else? Well, it's time to choose Chip. I'm looking to be your trusted advisor in real estate. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates.
There are certain sounds that just scream summer, like this one. And this one. And who can forget about these? That's right, it's the sound of players all across the state winning with the new July Instant Games from the Tennessee Lottery. So play today for your chance to win up to $500,000. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? The Tennessee Lottery, game-changing fun. Please play responsibly.
Hi, this is Bob Cornell, pastor of Covenant Church right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. The answer that you've been looking for is found in Jesus and what he accomplished at the cross. You see, Jesus changes lives from the inside out. We would love for you to join us at Covenant Church, located at 1124 Brinkley Ave right here in Murfreesboro. We have services Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. and Tuesdays at 7 p.m. You can learn more about us at our Cornell Ministries YouTube channel. We want you to grow in Christ at Covenant Church.
The American cowboy is everything that makes this country great.
There's a freedom to being a cowboy.
Being a cowgirl is not a safe, easy path, but it's one that's very rewarding. The American cowgirl is dedicated to her livestock, she's dedicated to her country, and she's dedicated to her family.
The American cowboy is honest.
We're the backbone of how this country was founded.
There's a whole lot of legacy that goes along with being a cowboy, and I'm honored to be a part of it.
Boot Barn, keep west.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by AmeriCare Pest Control and the law offices of John Day.
I've got pests.
AmeriCare is Rutherford County's #1 choice in pest control, and it's simple to see why. After calling 893-7111, their staff came to my house 8 years ago when I had an insect problem. They looked at the situation, showed me the areas and what they'd recommend to resolve the problem. After treatment and with quarterly checks, I'm bug, critter, and creepy crawly free. Thanks, AmeriCare.
Call the best of the best to get rid of your pests.
AmeriCare, 893-7111.
WGNS Good Neighbor Events checks out those Independence Day celebrations. Smyrna has the earliest Independence Day celebration. It's on Wednesday night from 5 until 9 over at the Lee Victory Recreation Park. Enjoy food, drink, fireworks, live music, vendors, and so much more. That's Wednesday night, July 3rd, 5 until 9 at the Lee Victory Recreation Park in Smyrna. Then on Thursday, the 4th of July, the granddaddy of them all, Rockvale's 4th of July celebration. It's the oldest one in the county and began back in 1927. The Rockvale Independence Day celebration is at the Rockvale Community Center. If you live in the northern end of the county, Laverne's Independence Day celebrations start at 6 o'clock Thursday night. That's at the Veterans Memorial Park. Murfreesboro has its annual Celebration Under the Stars at the Fountains at Gateway. A live DJ from 4:30 to 7:30, and at 7:30 live entertainment with Craig Campbell. The fireworks show is at 9. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor Events.
Rutherford weather.
We'll see sunny skies here this afternoon, a high in the mid-90s. Mostly clear skies tonight, a low near 75. Wednesday, sunshine, high 98 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Currently, it's 71.
WGNS is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. MTE has a solar expert and energy services supervisor to help its members understand if solar is right for them and help members avoid possible scams from outside parties. Learn more at mte.com/prosolar.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back to the second segment of Tuesday Mornings with Rick and Wayne. And special day for me, having one of my best friends from high school, retired Colonel Gary Richmond, and also a volunteer at the VA for over 25 years. I talked to another classmate yesterday, and I'd like to give him a shout out this morning because he said he'd be listening from Kentucky. Bob Hatton Ward. Bob was just a
super guy.
Helped so much with the athletic programs there at Smyrna High School, and also retired as the chief archaeologist for Mammoth Cave, which I thought was pretty special. So a shout out to our bud Bob Hatton Ward this morning.
He did a great job when he was up there.
Yes, he did.
That would be an amazing job.
Yeah.
Just because of some of the stuff they found in that cave.
Yeah. Maybe we can get him on sometime. So.
Well, that'd be your fourth 1972 graduate you would have.
Well, we won't go into all. I don't think we got long enough for the show.
We're losing them anyway, Rick. You're safe. We're losing a few.
I don't know. 35th class reunions this year, and it's hard getting people together. We're finding out pretty quick.
Yep. Talk about your again. Continue with talking about volunteering at the VA and. Maybe share some insight with some former service people that may not have taken advantage of what they deserve and their right to have access to.
Well, I would tell anybody that probably hadn't been to the VA since the 70s or so, it's a big difference. You know, when Dad retired, you used to come in to the main entrance at the VA and basically take a number and wait almost all day to see a doctor and to get x-rays or wherever you need. Whereas now, if the folks would come in, we got people right there at the door that would be happy to register them, see what they call priority group they fall into, make sure they can get in to see a doctor, start setting themselves up with appointments, and depending on what the doctor sees and what the veteran needs, they can get to see specialists and everything, either there in Murfreesboro or they may have to go to Nashville because we are related there with Vanderbilt, so some of the specialists are associated with Vanderbilt, and it's much easier, and they can get, and then the atmosphere has changed. When I started volunteering, most all the front door were volunteers standing around, and we have lost a few over time, unfortunately, but the VA has set up what they call an ambassador program where there's folks roaming the hallway, and if you have any question or any problem, you can talk to an ambassador. If they don't have the right answer, they'll get you to the person with the right answer. So it's a big improvement, and a lot of times the veterans, and I understand they have a bad taste in their mouth. Either a drill sergeant didn't make them very happy, or their last unit they were with wasn't very good, or any number of things may have given them a sour outlook. But they need to come in and talk to the VA, talk to the reps, you know, to make sure they are getting the benefits that they need, whether it be medical, education, or any number of things that may be available, either from the federal program or even the state program. We have state counselors here at Murfreesboro that be happy to talk to them too. MTSU's opened up a veteran center that have people out there welcoming vets in and to talk to them about the benefits they earn. Nobody's giving them that. The veteran earned the benefits.
Right.
So,
kind of like Social Security.
Yeah. Yeah, they paid into it. That's
yeah,
right.
It was earned.
You know, I always tell people, if you've never been around the military, most of the military gets to see sights of the world the average tourist does not want to see.
Right.
Okay. So it's benefits they earn. They need to look at it.
So what are the requirements for service to receive veteran benefits?
Well, normally they have to have one honorable discharge with an active service commitment. And then nowadays, if they don't have a VA disability and they make too much money, they're on a waiting list for the VA or a lowest priority group, which means they won't get in. So I always tell folks to make sure they go through their medical records and talk to a VA counselor to see what disabilities they may not have thought of. Maybe hearing, a back, knee, hip, any number of things. And then unfortunately, we also have veterans now that, you know, the pressure they're under and everything, they need some mental help. And, that's something they can come in and get help with, maybe a disability. And, on down the line, when you're in your 70s and 80s like we are, you may want to, well, we might want to tell the truth. They know
well, yeah, you've always been about telling the truth.
He pointed right at you.
Well, I know it, all right. But, the guys come in and gals, they may be able to find something that maybe will help their family later on, too. So,
we talked about that off air. That is a really big deal, is the beneficiaries of those service professionals.
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen too many Vietnam guys now that because of Agent Orange with cancer and everything, they die because of cancer, but that leaves a small stipend for their wife. And $1,800 a month may not sound like much, but if a wife is living only on Social Security, $1,800 added to that could really make a difference for her quality of life, or his, depending on the spouse and everything. So, I think they need to look at that.
What, as far as the facilities there at VA, I guess they have on campus everything?
Well, for the most part, we do. Primary care is our big deal in mental health. But they also recently, well, last 2 or 3 years, opened up a whole health clinic. And they're trying different avenues like acupuncture, chiropractor, and some other things to relieve pain for the guys other than medication. So if the guys want to try those little new facets, it's worth a try. They have Tai Chi classes to get the guys out and get them moving that may, be confined to a wheelchair, get them a little bit of movement going. So it helps their state of mind and their physical body. We have audiology, a few other specialties, and like I said, if they don't have them there, they'll get you a Nashville. And if it's a long waiting period now, you can go out in community care to the local network that they have established. So medical care is there.
Patty Bryce Johnson, I think, retired from the VA as a nurse in Nashville. So
yeah.
another classmate, Rick, by the way. So
you're gonna get a bunch of them, Rick.
It's coming in. So if you've got a loved one listening right now and they've got a veteran in the home, the husband or the wife, and they're just stubborn about going, is there a program as far as for the spouses or that would be able to call that number and do it that in, or will it take that vet to be able to make that phone call?
Unfortunately, the vet has to get involved because the statement of service has to be verified and everything. But now there's websites. VA.gov is a super website that they can go out there and look at the requirements for enrollment and do most of it online. Okay. So if they do it and can get him to go in for that first initial visit, then maybe the door will open for him, and it's not as bad. Because you got to remember, especially the Vietnam guys, they weren't welcome when they came home in a lot of regards, Most of the guys now, you say welcome home, that triggers a good thought, okay? And so they're coming in now, especially because they're under Medicare now, so they think it's not as good. So the VA and a lot of them come in really surprised at what's available to them. And you get the right primary care, and they make sure they line them up with the specialties they need. Eyewear, hearing aids, Now, dental work is sort of a different category because dental is, you got to be 100% disabled or a dental-related disability, XPOW or something along those lines for dental. Dental is sort of a limited facet right now, but everything else is open for the vet.
See, I've always said whatever our congressmen or congress people have, VAs ought to match and have the same thing.
That's a great statement.
And cuts the red tape, that whatever red tape there is, it sounds like they've knocked some boundaries down, but I hear constantly how everything they walk into up there, and that's probably why they die in office, because the services they get over and above that I think.
They get good benefits. Yep. Absolutely.
So the military health insurance is it a different name? Did it used to be called Champus or something?
Yeah, it used to be called Champus, now it's TRICARE.
TRICARE.
And you got active duty TRICARE, you got reserve TRICARE, and then you have us old farts, TRICARE for life. Okay. And it depends on what category you're in, but the old retiree, and I can't think of, there was a gentleman that fought Congress over, we were supposed to have health care for life. And basically, it used to be when you became Medicare eligible, you lost everything unless you went to the VA or Medicare. But for retirees, this gentleman took them to court, and we got TRICARE for life, which basically pays Medicare copay. So a veteran can go, or a retired veteran can go with no cost out of his pocket other than pharmaceutical.
And the spouse?
Spouse too.
Is the spouse for life as well?
Yeah.
Okay. At what point does a child, if you're say you're you've been active military, and then after 20 years you retired, but you still have children in college that may still be at home?
I think it's to 26. They can stay on your policy, and then after 26 they become on their own accord.
Okay. Well,
So,
that makes sense.
there's benefits there.
I mean, 26. You keep reading about the children that won't leave home.
Well, I've seen a lot of folks raising grandkids now.
So you brought up the VA.gov, which would be a good resource that they could jump online and be able to look at. But those class of 72 people out there that may not like getting on the internet, is there a phone number they can call?
Yeah, if you call. Trust me, I've seen a lot of them besides Wade. 1-800-827-1000 is the regional headquarters, and they can talk all benefits to anybody. Okay? They'll verify the information before they get any specifics, though. Okay? But they'll be happy to get you into the right arena.
Would they be able to pull most of it off your Social Security number, or would they need to dig out and get their...
Most of it can be off your Social Security number and your date of birth. They'll marry that up because they can go out there and reach into databases and make sure you have what we call good paper.
It's
had honorable discharge and everything.
Right, exactly. I didn't know if you had to have your DD papers or whatever when you got out, because I know a lot of times through moving and everything else, those are difficult to find. And,
they get lost, but it's good to keep that forever and ever.
Yes, sir.
And if they want to walk in, that helps them walk in because they can read the codes for discharge to make sure you're getting what you have.
Yes, sir.
And I think they're opening up some mental health for people with other than honorable discharge now. So they're looking at some people that may need the help too. So again, call or look online and see what you're eligible for.
So is it unusual for us to have a VA in Nashville and also one in Murfreesboro, because they're fairly close proximity? Is that unusual?
No, there's all sorts of clinics and stuff now, because we got a clinic in Clarksville, there's one in Columbia, McMinnville. Now they're much more smaller. They're sort of like an urgent care setup, but there's a whole lot of that going on.
I had no idea that you had smaller locations. That's pretty cool.
So the guys, if they maybe in their backyard there may be a clinic, and they can go down and talk to the admin folks and get their paperwork started. But when I started volunteer, Nashville and Murfreesboro were two separate hospitals. Then they combined them, and what they did was take a lot of the major surgery out of Murfreesboro, move it to Nashville, Vanderbilt and everything. And we lost a few of the wards that went to Nashville when they took the surgery over. So, and now we're just one big happy family, Tennessee Valley.
I know my wife is in the medical field, and there's a big recruitment going on for VA nurses, and they got about a $20,000 sign-on bonus for nurses that want to go to work at the VA. And they're asking nurses, because the whole thing about maybe what conditions it were in, they're telling you, hey, you need to really come check this out, because the new state of the art and upgrades they've been able to do, and it's not the same even for the nurses and doctors and medical staff.
If you visit Murfreesboro, they gutted the medical ward once and redid it, totally state of the art. And where my dad was at on what they call long-term care, that area is being gutted right now to bring it up to date. So things are there. Now, don't get me wrong. If somebody walks into the VA, sometimes providers and all that come in are caught off guard with the protocols, the requirements that have to be met before veterans may be able to get a specialty care or something. And so they don't like it where they, everywhere else you just put an order and let it go. Well, it depends on what they need and why. So there has to be some guidelines followed. So
I think it's with everything nowadays. My mom's on up in age and trying to take care of her and the needs and what the insurance are requiring, what the doctors say, and how it fits into the insurance these days. I think it's a battle, and you got to have that advocate like yourself there to help get through those weeds, because it can be daunting at a time.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to go through that when you got a loved one you need to get some care for.
Yeah.
And it's painful to go through that.
We ought to say a little remembrance about Lottie Whitmore, because how many years do you think she was General Jim Whitmore's mom, that was class of 72, 2-star retired Air Force general, and fighter pilot. So
how did you grow up with him? Was it this difficult?
Well, you just sort of ignore certain things,
Well,
just let them roll.
We work in the same office now, and I'm clear on the other side of the building now.
It's all about being proud of your community.
We
and
are.
your I know you're joshing, but we're both fortunate to have gone to school with some people that have left their mark on society, that have been out there desiring and had the ability to serve, whatever capacity that might be.
Well, my wife being a military brat and colonel, my father-in-law being a colonel, he was like you. That it takes several minutes to get through everywhere they've been and they grew up. So it's not normal for my wife to see me, not born in Smyrna, but being here when I was a year old. And I've never left, and the friendships I have and the community involvement and the people I know.
That's a good point.
And for you to come home to that, you've got this base that she's never had, and she doesn't. And we take it for granted a lot of times when we poke fun and make jokes about it. But, when you went to college one place, high school another place, middle school and elementary school was in Japan. And, it's just...
it's a different world. I mean, in a way, your background.
The sacrifices that your families make, not only yourself going all over, but what your families make at the same time. And,
my brother, we moved between his junior and senior year in high school.
Yeah.
And he goes back to his first high school for the reunions, because he could relate to those.
Yeah.
Well, like you were saying at the beginning of the show, that how many different places that you were stationed in your 20 years, and just who knows what somebody else has with different qualifications, how many different stations they were involved in.
Well, Roxanne, now that was my wife. We were all in the same school.
Yep.
She always said it was great, because a lot of times I would be gone for a short period, but she still had the checkbook. She thought that was a great life. So,
you got paid a little extra because you got hazard duty pay and everything else.
That sounds just like Roxanne. What a wonderful lady.
Unique individual at times.
Well,
too.
she, when you got married, of course, like you said, I was your best man. I was both proud for you, but I was also a little scared for you too, because I'd known her for a number of years.
Well, she had a unique experience. We were both, our fathers were enlisted, and I moved in as an officer, and she was sort of a little leery of that, but she fit in all right.
I'm sure.
That's great. We poke fun here, but I have the utmost respect for you and all those that served, and we get to celebrate this Thursday with 4th of July, just because of the sacrifices you and your families have had to make for us to be here and poke fun and have the show we have today. But I appreciate it. We're going to have to take our second break here in just a minute, but if you could give the 800 number one more time for those who might be listening, they might have heard it and sitting there with a pen and a paper.
All right, it's 1-800-827-1000.
That's right. And if you're pretty good with a computer, the va.gov or choose.va.gov will get you kind of started. It's, like you said, the preliminary paperwork and information you might need to provide for them to get it going. But we'll take our second break and be right back with you in just a minute.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month, but you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learning.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
At Middle Point Landfill, we strive to serve our neighbors.
This county is willing to put themselves out there and take some new initiatives.
Mike Clausen, General Manager of the Middle Point Landfill.
We want to transform Middle Point into a sustainability campus where we are building recycling facilities. We're building cutting-edge diversion facilities.
Middle Point values its relationship with you, which is why we never tire of serving our neighbors throughout Rutherford County.
Learn more at middlepointlandfill.com.
This is Kim Dunaway from Sunshine Nutrition Center. You hear me on Monday mornings at 7:20 talking about how to lead a healthier lifestyle. We carry supplements, personal care, and grocery items at both our Murfreesboro and Smyrna locations, family owned and operated since 1989.
At Bud's Tire Pros, we sell all major brands of tires, and we invite you to stop by today for that next set of tires. Or maybe you need us to check out your vehicle before you head out of town. We offer everything from brakes to batteries, alignments, and more. No appointments necessary, just stop on by.
I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstirepros.tn.com.
Hey Pandora lovers, come visit us at Bell Jewelers. We're having a huge Pandora sale June 17th through July 7th. Retired items are 50% off, and then current stock items are 30% off. Come visit us at Bell Jewelers. They have a brand new collection that just came out. We're having a huge Pandora sale June 17th through July 7th here at Bell Jewelers, 821 Northwest Broad Street, across from Toots.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
And welcome back to the third and final segment of Tuesday Mornings with Rick and Wayne. And it's our pleasure this morning to have retired Colonel and favorite son of town Smyrna, Gary Richmond, former classmate, class of 1972. We've been bragging on it a little bit this morning. And just talk a little bit more about your experience with the VA, anything that you want to throw out there that might entice someone to take advantage of the benefits that they've earned.
Well, we talked about the internet, which is one of the big deals, but, we were just talking offline here a little bit about the Veterans Building here in Murfreesboro off Rice. And there's a state rep there that will be happy to work with folks too. So there's assets out there if people just go ask, And every county is supposed to have a state rep. Now, sometimes they're in the courthouse and they may not know anything other than give you telephone numbers or forms, but there's another source. If people are out there in different counties, look up their county rep from Veterans Affairs from the states, and they can get them going too.
So if somebody just wanted to walk into the VA here in Murfreesboro, there would be an ambassador to help them start that process? Is that
Absolutely.
What you said?
The ambassador give them hooked up with the right people so they can, if they don't have the paperwork they need, they can sit down, talk to them, and explain to them what they need and what they're eligible for. It's a plus for them.
I'm pleased that Rick and I are having you today, with the 4th of July coming up. And I think before the show we were talking about May, June, and July was your special time of the year.
Well, yeah, that's the patriotic period for me. 9th of May, I enter active duty. 31st of May, or Memorial Day, we remember those that gave the ultimate sacrifice. 14th of June is Flag Day. And then the 16th of June is the Army's birthday. And then you top it off with the 4th of July. So I consider it's the patriotic period.
Sure.
So it's all the highlights to me of the country and all.
I'm just trying to think of those because I know how veterans are about going in, of what that one word or that one sentence that they could hear that say. And I volunteer my own time. If there's somebody out there listening and is not unsure, please find me on Facebook, or call Rayburn Insurance where I work, and they'll get you in touch with me, and I'll walk you in up there myself, or I'll find you, Colonel. We'll make sure they're taken care of.
I have him on speed dial.
Well, I just know the pride of which, I served in law enforcement for 25 years, and I carry a lot of pride, and I love my brothers and sisters I was with, and I wish we had those kind of services, because I know things that I've gone through, and those I've been alongside of that had to get out because of the things we got in, and we don't have any of those benefits. And if they're there and that somebody can take advantage of them, then I want my brothers and sisters to really take advantage of these programs and get out there and get help, because like you said, it's for them and their spouse. And if it's $1,200-$1,800 a month more than what they've got now coming in, that's nothing.
No, that ain't nothing to sneeze at.
Exactly right, and that's for life. There's no more having to fight every year or claim it off on your taxes or anything else like that. It's there.
Well, so many of our law enforcement professionals are former military professionals.
Absolutely.
So, you're hitting a segment there either way.
It's not uncommon to see some deputy sheriff walk in, or some Murfreesboro policeman walk in, and he's doing his appointment.
Right.
Because he's a veteran.
Sure.
He served his time, and he's still serving his time to the community. And one thing Rick picked up on, which is great if you think about it, if one veteran knows another veteran that hadn't taken advantage of the opportunities of the benefits, if they would just take them and walk them in with them one time when they go to their appointment, so they can see that it's not a lot of boogeymen. There are a lot of other veterans in the system working to help the veteran get the services they need.
It's really heartbreaking to think that these benefits are out there and you've earned them, and you're struggling with issues, and you're not taking advantage of those, of what you earned.
Oh, absolutely. We lost a special forces out of Fayetteville Bill, and he used to bring guys up because he went through that out of Vietnam. He went to the woods and was living, out of the creek with a tent or something.
Off the grid.
Yeah, off the grid. He didn't even have a landline.
Wow.
But he woke up one day. Somebody brought him in, and he became a big promoter of veterans affairs in his county. And he brought this one guy in, and the guy still, when he sees me, he always yells. He says, "You know me, I'm your crazy Marine." And Bill brought this kid, and he needed help, and he got his feet on the ground, and he was getting jobs and dating women, and it was becoming normal again.
Mm-hmm.
But it took somebody to sort of direct him and get him to the right person. So that's the reason, I go back. If one veteran can pull another veteran in, you might, really save that person in more ways than you ever thought about.
Well, there's nobody that's better to empathize with you if they walked in your shoes.
Absolutely. There's a guy, Manchester, Joe Clark. I used to kid him. He is an ex-Marine and airborne and everything, and I was kidding him one day. I said, didn't they put that metal plate in your head so they didn't have to give you a parachute anymore? And his wife thought that was hilarious. Well, Joe didn't appreciate my Marine sense of humor at that moment.
Right.
But he's the same type of guy that he's probably brought 60 or 70 vets in around him to get some help.
Wow.
And Joe, he's messed up from Vietnam, still carrying the ironworks in him and stuff, and Purple Hearts and all that. But, he still lives for his fellow veteran, and he's bringing them in. And I think that's a plus if you think about it.
No doubt.
Colonel, thank you for being with us today.
Been my pleasure.
Thank you for your service to our country and keeping us free and protected all those years.
I can't tell you how proud I am to be your bud, because I have such respect and just so very proud of your accomplishment, Colonel. And Rick, I still call him Colonel, even though we went to junior high and high school together.
What was his name before he got in the military?
Computer head sometimes.
Well,
Jerk. I was going with Jerk.
He was considered extremely intelligent until he went in the Army. But I think he's back being intelligent again.
Right.
So.
Hey, I got a text message. I just want to let everybody know if you're looking for a fireworks show or want to go out and celebrate the independence of the 4th of July. Tomorrow is town of Smyrna's 4th of July celebration, right. July 3rd. Be at the Sam Ridley, 110 Sam Ridley Parkway East, which is the rec park out there. And they'll have food trucks, vendors, live music, inflatables, well as the fireworks usually kick off about 9 o'clock or 9:15. There should be plenty of parking out there. They do have that area will be closed off for a short time while they do set up. So if you're sitting with barricades, that's why, because they're going to shoot those off. But come out and enjoy the fun. You ought to have a good time with it. But
again, God bless you, Colonel.
Yeah. Thank everybody for listening, and we'll see you next week.